Good morning, students. Today we are going to be talking about 5.4b, representing and solving multi-step equations with a variable representing an unknown quantity. So let's get started. Yay, okay. So before we get started, we're going to identify what an equation is and what a variable is, okay? These are two vocabulary words that are very important to our lesson. So we're going to start off real simple. I'm going to write an equation 3 plus 5 equals A. So let's say Maria has 3 apples and Rachel has 5 apples. They put them in a basket. How many apples are in the basket together? Okay, so an equation, a number sentence with an equal sign. If it does not have an equal sign, it's not an equation. So let's look at our equation. Let's look at this number sentence and see if I can call it an equation. 3 plus 5 equals A. Yes, it is an equation because it has an equal sign. Okay. Now, an equation has an equal sign, so that means everything on my left has to match what's on my right. So whatever is A has to equal to whatever 5 plus 3 is going to be. Okay. The next vocabulary we're going to talk about is a variable. Okay. A variable is a letter, maybe not, a letter that represents an unknown quantity. Spelling is off. So a variable is a letter that represents an unknown quantity or an unknown amount. Okay, now notice, so I didn't say number, I said letter. In math, sometimes we use letters to represent what we don't know. So in the case with the apples, Maria's 3 and Rochelle's 5, I don't know what the total is. So instead of putting a blank space, I can't do that. I'm going to put a letter. So the variable I used here was A. A represents the number of apples both girls have together. Okay, so equation, number sentence with an equal sign. Always remember, if there's an equal sign, that means the left side is equal to the right side. And then variable is a letter that represents an unknown quantity. And if you are asking, can I use any letter? You can use any letter from A to Z. Okay, so let's get started with our problems. Miss Fox had 118 donuts in a display case in her bakery. She put out 23 more trays in the display case. Each tray contains 16 donuts. How many donuts did Miss Fox have? Write an equation for D, the amount of donuts Miss Fox has in total. So what we're going to do here, we're going to A, write an equation, and B, find an answer. So we need to figure out how many donuts does Miss Fox have? And we also have to write an equation for D, the amount of donuts she has in total. So let's look at this first part first. Write an equation for D. What is our variable going to be here? D. D is our variable. And what does it represent? Well, the comma, and then it says the amount of donuts Miss Fox has in total. So if you look here, in most questions, when they say write an equation for the variable, right after it, they're going to tell you what that variable represents. So for example, write an equation for D, the amount of donuts Miss Fox has in total. Okay, so let's look at our information. Okay, Miss Fox has 118 donuts. So right now in her display case, she has how many donuts? 118 donuts. Okay. She's going to put 23 more trays of donuts in her case. So she puts how many more trays? 23 trays. And I know one tray has how many donuts? 16 donuts, right? So if you notice that there is a relationship, you probably made a chart. You probably made a T-chart with that relationship, and that's okay. You can do that. Again, it takes a lot of work on the computer. I'm just going to type it out. So one donut is 16 and she has 23. I need to find out the total number of donuts. So looking at my information, I need to figure out how many donuts she has to get to D. Total number of donuts is represented by the variable D, not the uppercase, lowercase. Okay. So let's try to see if we can write an equation. So the first thing I know is my equation is going to start off with D equals. This won't always happen, but in this case, it's pretty straightforward. I'm looking for the total, so I'm solving for D. And is it okay? Yeah, okay, D, thank you. So first piece of information, I know she has 118 donuts. That's what she started out with. Well, she put 23 more trays of donuts. So that means, what is she doing to her display case? Is she taking out donuts or is she adding donuts? She's adding more donuts. So I'm going to add, and I'm going to put 23. Now remember, this is 23 trays, not 23 donuts. So whatever, once I figure out the relationship between the trays and donuts, I'm going to do whatever math I need to do and then add that number to what she started out with, 118 donuts. So she has 23 trays, and it already told me that each tray contains 16 donuts. So if one tray has 16 donuts, how many donuts are on 23 trays? Well, how will I do that? I'm going to have to multiply. So I'm going to multiply 23 times 16. And we just wrote an equation, 23 times 16, and then I'm going to add it to 118. So we have done the first step of our problem. The next step is to find out what D is. So I'm going to multiply 23 times 16. 23 times 16. Now, again, we talked about this in class. You can use the box method or the standard algorithm. Now, okay. And because we've talked about order of operations, obviously I have more than one step. So I'm going to follow PEMDAS. So I'm going to underline this here. And I'm going to do 23 times 16. That's going to give me 368. So now I'm left with 118 plus 368. That's my next step. And then my answer is going to be, what do you think my answer will be? 486. So Ms. Fox has a total of how many donuts? 486 donuts. Let's try one more problem, and then I will let you go. Nellie went to the farmer's market to buy fruit. She bought 6 5/10 pounds of oranges, 5 7/10 pounds of lemons, and some pounds of watermelon. The total weight of the fruit Nellie bought was 27 pounds. How much watermelon weigh that Nellie? How much did the watermelon weigh that Nellie bought from the farmer's market? Write an equation for W, the weight of the watermelon. So let's look at our problem. What is duplicate? What are they asking? I'm going to write an equation. And my equation is going to be for W, okay? Now, this was a little bit different because W is actually going to be in the problem. How much did the watermelon weigh? How much did the watermelon weigh that Nellie bought from the farmer's market? So I want to find out how much of the watermelon weighed that she bought from the farmer's market. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. So in my equation, I'm going to solve for W. Okay, but we're going to talk about how we get to W. So let's look at the information I have. Nellie went to the farmer's market. She bought oranges. She bought 6.5 pounds. She also bought lemons, 5.75 pounds. And then watermelons, we don't know, and that letter is represented by what variable? W, the weight of the watermelon. So I'm going to put W right now because I don't know what it is, but I do know her total is 27 pounds. So how can I figure this out if I know my total? Well, let's write our equation, and we're going to write it knowing what our answer is going to be. So I know my answer is 27. So how do I get to 27 pounds? I'm going to add up what she bought. So I'm going to add 6.5 plus 5.75 plus the watermelon, which right now is W, because I don't know how much pounds the watermelon weighed. That's my equation. Now, the question did say, how much did the watermelon weigh? And I want to write an equation to find W, the weight of that equation. So what would we need to do here? So I'm going to put W equals, and let's look at this equation to help us out. I want to get W all by itself. How would I do that? Let me put this on the other side. What would I need to do? Well, I know right now the weight of 2 of my items. So I'm going to add those 2 items, 6.5 pounds plus 5.75 pounds. It's an equal sign. We can't have that. We can only have one equal sign. Oh, shift. Yes. Now, this is the weight of the oranges and the lemons. And I also know my total. Well, what would I need to do? I'm probably going to need to do what? Subtract. Now, if I put minus 27 here, I know this number is going to be smaller than 27. So I may need to move 27 to the what? Front. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. So there's my equation. If I follow these steps, I will figure out how much the weight of that watermelon is. So let's get started. Again, we're following the order of operation rules. And this is going to be, I'm going to underline it. That's what I got to do. That's going to be 27 minus 12.25 equals W. That's my last step. And my W will be 14.75. That's a large watermelon, okay? This is what we'll be doing today. If you have any questions, you can send me a message and let me know. Y'all have a good day.